What is going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing a UFC Vegas 97 Burns versus Brady recap. Pretty much going over everything I think's noticeable to talk about. Probably we're not going to be going over every fight, but at least all the ones that I thought were important to talk about. First, we're going to start with the main event: Gilbert Burns and Sean Brady. Sean Brady gets the unanimous decision. It was a clear-cut decision for Sean Brady. Essentially, I had him winning every round but two. Gilbert Burns landed a couple good right hands that hurt Brady in round two. So I just edged out the second round for Gilbert Burns. Other than that, it was a clear-cut Sean Brady decision. And I think he's looking better. Obviously, his last fight before this, he beat Kelvin Gastelum via Kimura. And Kelvin Gastelum's not the greatest grappler, but it's still a decent win. He went life and death with Israel Adesanya, as he likes to brag about. But it's a decent win nonetheless. But the real question, I think, is will he be able, Brady that is, will he be able to build back to fight for the title versus Bilal Muhammad, who he has already lost to? I think one more win, depending how the division plays out, 1 to 2 more wins, and he could be looking at a title shot. You kind of got JDM, Shavkat, Ian Gary, and now Sean Brady that are all real close to title discussion. What I think, and people are talking about Usman. Usman doesn't deserve it. He needs to win 1 to 2 fights to get a title shot. So what I think they need to do is Shavkat needs to fight for the belt. He's the boogeyman. Everybody kind of, even though he's coming off a win on Wonder Boy, I think either JDM or Gary would deserve it more. But I think the danger factor is there with Shavkat, who he's undefeated, all finishes. So I think that would be a good fight. You do Shavkat and Bilal, and then I think you could have Ian Gary and JDM fight each other for, I guess, next in line. And then Brady could fight. I think who Brady needs to fight next is Colby Covington. Colby's coming off a loss to Leon Edwards where he really didn't do much of anything in the fight. And I think he needs to defend his spot. And who better to do it against than Sean Brady? He should only be ranked one ranking behind him, so it's not like, if he does lose, I know he likes to squat on his ranking or whatnot. He won't be going down that far. He'll only be going down 1 to 2 spots. Colby, that is. But I think definitely Colby would be a good matchup for Sean Brady. I see Sean Brady winning that fight quite easily. Kind of like, I think Sean Brady is a better version of Gilbert Burns and Colby Covington. Younger version. Because, Burns is old, and so is fighting old, that is. He's not actually old. He's 38 years old. Colby Covington's 36 years old. And I think this is probably going to be the downfall of Gilbert Burns, unfortunately. I wanted him to win this fight. I did not want Sean Brady to win. I wanted Gilbert Burns to win. But, when you start getting up there in the age and all the wars that he's had, and he's been cracked a bunch of times, Dan Hooker finished him. Obviously, that was at lightweight. But when you have been in as many wars as Gilbert Burns has, he went life and death with Khamzat Chimaev. And I think that JDM fight, I think that's kind of what did it in for him. That big knee he took rocked him real bad. And that was that like 5 months ago, something like that. So, I think this is probably the beginning of the end. Or really the JDM fight was the beginning of the end for Gilbert Burns. I think he probably just keeps slipping down and down further and further in the rankings until he retires. Hopefully he doesn't fight too late and go out on like a Tony Ferguson-esque losing streak, because I like Gilbert Burns. As far as Brady, I think he could. It could be a good fight, the rematch between him and Bilal. If he gets another win or two, I think if he beats Colby, he could be in for a title shot, because Colby's challenged for the belt 3 times, lost every one of them. But there's something to say for that if he beats Colby, which I think he will quite easily. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Moving on to the co-main event, we got Silva versus Jessica Andrade. What can I say? I mean, I don't want to say Jessica Andrade is just showing up for paychecks, but her path to victory. Now, one thing I will say about her is she kept the pressure. She was on Silva constantly. She would not let up. You know, she kept her up against the cage, and they kept circling around. Occasionally, she would land some good shots, and then Silva would clinch and disengage. Obviously, the path to victory for Jessica Andrade was via finish, and for Silva, it was most likely going to be decision, and that's what she got, unanimous decision. It was a pretty clear-cut victory for Silva. As far as what I think would be next for her, obviously the flyweight division for the women is kind of tied up right now. You know, you got Shevchenko and Grasso fighting this upcoming weekend. And I think no matter who wins or loses that fight, you need Manafjord to fight the winner of that fight. So I think what you need to do in the meantime is have Silva and Macy Barber fight. And then the winner of that fight can fight the winner between Manafjord, Grasso, and Shevchenko. So whoever's the champion after Manafjord fights him, then whoever wins between Barber and Silva will be next in line for the title. Because I believe they're both on either like 5 or 6 fight winning streaks, Macy Barber and Silva. So, you know, that'd be a good matchup. It would give us more of a clear-cut, I guess, number 2 contender, because Manafjord is clearly the number 1 contender to fight for the belt. So that, as far as Jessica Andrade and her future in the UFC, I don't think she'll ever be a champion again in either division, the strawweight or the flyweight division. She's probably, my guess is she's probably going to be like that tops 8-ish gatekeeper. If I can pull up what her ranking is real quick. So she is ranked in the flyweight division. She is ranked number 6, and in strawweight she's ranked number 4. So, I mean, I think definitely she's going to have more success in strawweight. I think she could definitely stay in the top 5 until she retires. In strawweight, flyweight, I think the women are just kind of too big for her. You know, she's got power. She's got good power, but it's not as easy for her to. I was gonna say manhandle, but yeah, manhandle the girls or the women as it is when they're at strawweight. I mean, she doinked Rose Namajunas on her head and knocked her out essentially. So I think strawweight's definitely going to be where she's going to find the most success in the future. But yeah, I definitely think she's going to be pretty much as a gatekeeper for the top 5 of really both those divisions. As far as Silva, I think she has a good chance. You know, she showed good takedown defense every time. You know, she was trying to get her down. She couldn't do it. I probably favor her to beat Macy Barber, because Macy Barber, few decisions she's gotten recently, she's won by split decision. I really don't think she won those fights. So, you know, I think Silva would beat Barber. And then as far as her versus Manafjord, if Manafjord were to win and become champion, I kind of lean Manafjord in that fight. But, you know, we'll see when that happens, if that happens. So we got to have the title fight next weekend to see, you know, who's going to win. Moving on, Steve Garcia and Kyle Nelson. This fight was fun while it lasted. Kyle Nelson, you know, gets him down, holds him down, does a little bit of work, and then as soon as Garcia gets a moment to get up, he flips the position and just starts throwing vicious ground and pound until he finishes Kyle Nelson. It was a great fight. I definitely think Garcia needs a top 15 opponent. Either Bryce Mitchell or Edson Barbosa. I think those would both be great opponents for him to get in the top 15. I think he's on a 5-fight win streak, all by KO TKO. So I definitely think he deserves a top 15 opponent in his next fight. Moving on, Matt Schnell versus Cody Durden. Man, Cody Durden comes in on 4 days' notice and gets the win. Impressive. Faced just a little bit of adversity in the first round. Then, you know, the second round comes back, gets a submission very quickly into the second round. And I think that he jumps up quite a bit in the rankings because I believe Matt Chanel was ranked number 11 and he was ranked number 15. I have it pulled up real quick here. Yeah, Cody Durden was ranked 15. Chanel was 11, so he's going to jump up there to 11. I think a great fight for Cody Durden, get one in before the end of the year would be Tim Elliott. He's a veteran of the sport. If Cody Durden has any title aspirations, wants to start climbing up, Tim Elliott's a good one. Manel Kopp would also be a good fight. Although I don't know if Kopp is injured after that fight he just had. So either of those would be good fights, I think. Moving on. We have Trevor Peek versus Yanal Ajmos. Man, I was hoping Trevor Peek would throw some of those crazy hammer fists and get a knockout. And there were some moments where you could tell he hurt Ajmos, and then Ajmos would just get the takedown or at least clinch up with him and be trying to get the takedown. And, Trevor Peek just really didn't have anything to offer as far as the grappling exchanges. He was able to get up multiple times, but it was kind of like he couldn't keep him off of him. And he couldn't really get his offense going like he needed to get that knockout, which was probably the only way he was going to win that fight. Next fight I wanted to talk about, Isaac Dalgarian versus Brendan Moreau. However they say his name. What a absolute beatdown by Isaac Dalgarian. He essentially, the entire time the fight was going on, he was just took Brendan Moreau down and just beat the shit out of him. Constantly going for either strikes, submissions, something, trying to set something up. Looking at the stats here, it was 102-22 on the strikes. And every time he wanted to get a takedown, he got it. And he got it within the first round, it was within the first 30 seconds he got a takedown. And then in the second round, you could see him getting to shoot for a takedown. Brennan goes for a flying knee, misses, hits him in the chest, and he gets picked up and dumped down. And then eventually towards the end of the round, he gets submitted. So absolute mauling by Isaac Dalgarian. Would love to maybe see someone on that outside of the top 15, just like maybe the top 25, like maybe Andre Fili. I think that would be a good fight for him next. If he wants to start climbing up the ranks, a win over Andre Fili, we'd probably get him a fight in the top 15 right after that. So I think that'd be a good fight for Isaac Dalgarian next. Andre Touchy Fili. But yeah, that's all I had to talk about. Ooh, one more thing. Julianne Amorim, or Jacqueline Amorim, however the hell you say her name, she had a little bit of controversy in her fight. So I didn't actually watch this fight live, so I went back and watched the clip of it. She grabs the glove before she gets the armbar. And, everybody is outraged online. And during the fight, Ministanopoulos was yelling that she's, my glove, my glove, my glove. I don't really think that had any effect on whether she was going to win the fight or not. I think regardless, she was going to get that armbar in the first round and submit her. But when something like that happens, it's always throws clouds over her win. Clouds her win. And she didn't do herself any favors either. In the post-fight, she was talking about how she doesn't have anything on her conscience, she didn't do anything wrong. It's pretty clear you did. So I would just, you don't want to admit to it. I understand that, but oh well. I guess it's all said and done. They're not going to do anything to change it. Hopefully she doesn't do any more cheating in her future fights. But because she's on a good streak right now. So hopefully they'll get her back in there soon. But that is all in it for today's video. If you guys got your comments, leave them below. And we'll see you guys in the next one.